it can be tricky to kind of see into the future and make predictions when things like MCP come out of nowhere and all of a sudden become a standard. And we can anticipate that kind of thing, as well as AI advancements, LLMs continuing to, as you say, ratchet up on the leaderboard time over time, and all the big players right at the frontier of AI capabilities having more or less fungible APIs for a lot of different tasks. Um, so the point of me saying all that is that it's tricky to be able to see into the future. But given your role as the CTO of a company that's taking technology and turning it into more streamlined experiences for users, how do you see? Yeah, what are your predictions for how things will continue to evolve? 5 years from now, how will somebody, whether they're a hands-on data analyst, data scientist, or a business user extracting data from their systems, their providers, what will that experience maybe be like in 5 years relative to today?
It's very, like you said, it's very hard to predict 5 years out. Being in this business for a while, I know that things can change very quickly. But I think overall, a lot of focus will shift to strategy rather than having to do. We quickly talked about or touched on busy work, but there's lots of workflows that currently need some sort of manual interaction that are fully automatable in a way, and people will then have a chance to focus on like the business and outcome of data and how it's going to be used rather than like the mechanics behind that. So that's certainly something that will change quite a bit. I think also we didn't talk about that. We focused quite a bit on AI, but there's also an interesting move in our industry as a with regards to storage and disconnecting compute from storage, which is a shift that is happening underneath what we do today. So looking out into the future, the mobility of and picking compute connected to data, if that makes sense, will certainly be something that will change the system quite a bit as well. So, or the way we work today quite a bit. So having a raw repository that sits in an accessible object storage environment in a standardized manner, because historically that's not been standardized. Today it's the industry kind of settled on Iceberg as a format for that, and being able to connect this with various query engines depending on purpose, and likely in the future also with a generative AI capability. I think that's very valuable to businesses to pick the right solution for the right case. So that's certainly going to change as well. But 5 years, it's a long time frame. Because we are talking maybe half year time frame here. But yeah, I think mostly strategy and focus on the how, the why rather than the how is probably something that will change quite a bit in the next 5 years.